Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Al Roseanne.
Welcome to CAD 117 Intermediate AutoCAD in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Module 6. This week, we're going to take a look at architectural drawing and dimensioning. Module 6 assignment is a cabin or a tiny house, I guess they call them nowadays. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the blocks for the plumbing fixtures, things like the toilet, the sink, and the vanity. And then we're also going to create blocks for the electrical, like these electrical switches and the wiring in this fan. Technical Drawing 101, if we take a look at the textbook, we're looking at dimensioning architectural drawings. And this relates to chapter 6. We'll look at how dimensions are determined on architectural drawings. We'll look at the standards that affect creation of these drawings, guidelines, AutoCAD dimensioning toolbars. We'll look at a manager for creating a dimension style for that. And so you're to read through chapter 6, dimensioning architectural drawings. As we look at chapter 6, we dimension things like we'll use architectural ticks, and these are standards. So as we look at things like what size should I make the text? Where should I place them on the drawing? How should the dimension style look? That's what this exercise is meant to do. We'll look at how to add leaders. We can change the multi-leader style to something like this spline type style. And they show you how to do those techniques here in the textbook as well. So it's a short chapter, and then we'll work on this project here at the end where we will take our drawing and then we'll annotate it. In other words, we will add the dimensions to it. We may have already done some dimensioning in the past, but now we're going to create a dimension style for that. And so we're going to create this dimension style called ARC24. And in the ARC24, we're going to set the primary units to architectural, precision to be 1/16, and all the other defaults that you see here. And then in step 2, we'll go to symbols and arrows. We'll select architectural ticks as our arrowheads. We'll set the arrow size for 3/16, center marks to line. On the lines tab, we'll set things as the defaults shown here. On the text tab, we'll set things as shown here with text being 1/8 of an inch high. Text placement above, centered, and the view direction is left to right. And we also want to have aligned with dimension line, and that'll allow the text to be aligned with the dimension line and above, as we have it spec'd out here. On the fit tab, we're going to use an overall scale of 24. And so that will make our drawing dimensions or our dim scale 24 times bigger. So if our text height is 1/8 of an inch and we calculate out what that's going to be on the printed sheet, 0.125 times 24. It will be a 3-inch high text height in model space. And that can be a concept that can be a little difficult to grasp. Sometimes I'll show the SpongeBob video where he finds Mermaid Man's belt and he's able to shrink and grow Squidward. And think of it in that aspect where if you had Mermaid Man's belt and you were shrinking things down, they maintain the proportions. And so that's what dim scale does, is that when we're drawing in model space, this is an architectural drawing. So it's 18 feet by I'm just going to say 15 feet on the dimensions. We don't have paper that big. And so we use a viewport scale. And when we do work with that viewport scale and set up our scale for that, we have this multiplier for calculating out the proper text heights. All right, and then we'll continue on through these steps to set up our dimension style. So that's our first link, textbook, chapter 9, works with blocks. And so as we create these drawings, we're going to work with blocks. And so this is just our quick review. We're going to touch on different aspects of it. Blocks are like templates. When we used to draw with a pencil, what we would do would be we would buy these plastic templates. And so if we were to go and Google drafting templates, we could buy some on Amazon like this, and you would get these drafting supplies so that you could draw accurate drawings with pencil. Things like French curves, details for plumbing fixtures, arrowheads, and things like that. You had to have a lot of supplies to be able to create the geometry. But with blocks, the computer has all of those. And so as we work with blocks, we'll give you some of the rules for creating blocks, or what we would call templates. And then it's kind of a game when you get down to it. You want to collect content. And so if you take more courses with Al and I, we have a lot of content that will use things like windows, doors, shrubbery, cabinets, appliances, because those are the considerations that you want to be able to use when you create these different blocks. And then the techniques are given here for creating the blocks. And so they create this door block and this ceiling fan block. And here's a step-by-step approach to creating a block. Some of the mechanical components for it. And they have all different ways to be able to insert those blocks into the drawings I've been using Design Center quite a bit because my computer will sometimes crash when I use the insert command. There's always a glitch here or there. But we'll create these blocks. And then we'll create the drawing as shown here with the bathroom fixtures and the electrical fixtures. And so we'll draw the tub. And so we'll have the dimensions for that. If we take a look at what the drawing is going to look like. Here's what the finished drawing will look like. I have one that's kind of in progress. And then if I go to model space, what we're going to do is create these blocks like I have here with the bathroom. And I've put it on the, when we create blocks, we want to create them on layer 0, because when a block is created on layer 0, if we take that block and then insert it, it will take on the layers properties and colors and line attributes. So for example, if I take this block and I explode it and I look at that, it's been created on layer 0. And then if I were to make a bathtub 2 fixture, I would say insert, and then I would say create block. Here it is, create block. I can look at the existing blocks within the drawing. I have one called tub and I've spec'd it out here, or I can make a new one. And I'll call this one tub 2. And then the base point is where it's going to bring that or attach that drawing. And so I'm going to say, specify on screen, pick the point. If you don't pick a point, pick point. If I don't pick a point, then it's not going to know where to put that block. And so I'm going to pick this point in the upper right-hand corner with an object snap. And then I'm going to select the objects. Hit enter. And then I can put a description on it. And we'll say this is a whirlpool.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir. Yes, Al.
Let's put it this way. When you are first starting out making blocks, W blocks, etc., would it be better to retain or click on convert or delete over there on objects?
I usually leave them for retain. I sometimes used to make them delete. I can show how that will work. So when we select the objects, it's selected the objects and you get this glyph. What'll happen if you say delete the objects when you select them, the object will just disappear from model space. Convert the block will actually insert that completed block.
What happens if they make a mistake? Would it be better off when you first start out to retain it? So if you do accidentally make a mistake, which has happened, it's still there?
And that's what we're gonna do, Al.
Oh, okay, good, thank you.
So here's our new updated whirlpool bath. I'm going to say, okay, we could just draw the jets in later. And then I have selected it. I did create it. It's set up as retained. So the original geometry is there. So say, for example, I wanted to draw in some of the jets. And so I'm just going to make something that looks like a jet right here. And I'll just go and put something here. Maybe I'll have some kind of a nozzle on the end of it. And then we can do the same thing. I know it's not a real good jet, but it's not that bad. And so those are the upgraded jets for our whirlpool bath. So when we create these blocks, okay, first I created it on layer 0, and then I called it tub 2. And then when I create those blocks, and I'm hoping it won't blow up on me, Al. So if I were to insert it, I'm going to save this before I do. And I'm going to see if I can get it to work from the insert tab. And I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to say recent blocks. Yeah, see, this has been an error. I'm going to okay it. And no, since I saved it. Unfortunately, that does happen now and then. I've never gotten a response back from these reports. Maybe someday it will happen. Continuing, back to AutoCAD. And then it remembers my history. So I'm not going to use the recovery manager. I don't think I need it. But if I go to the big red A, and then I want to open, I'm going to pause the video while we fix this. Resuming. So as we create these different blocks, we're going to want to create those on layer 0. If we take a look at the curriculum and continue, let's see if I can find this. We create these blocks to the dimensions, same thing for the lavatory or the vanity, and then we'll insert those blocks. Yes, you can find blocks on the internet that are already created, but our job is to go through and create these different standards. So we'll create these standards, place the drawings with the blocks, place the plumbing on the plumbing layers and the electrical on the electrical layers, and then put the drawing on the B-size architectural title block. All right, back to our main splash page. So the assignment is to create this architectural floor plan with the architectural blocks for the vanity and the plumbing symbols and the electrical symbols. The lecture is right here. And so if we go through and we look at the actual objectives, how to create blocks on these architectural drawings. And the rules for creating those drawings. All right, with that, I'm going to come back to the main splash page. Module 6 is due October 20th. Module 4 is due today. And that completes our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. I'm going to stop the recording and then open things up for questions.